Chapter 30. For the next period of time, Yiqing Luo quietly stayed in the abandoned courtyard to recuperate. It was indeed quiet enough. For 10 days, no one else except Yi Fengyu took a step inside. Maybe it was because she had taught Yiqing Jian and Yiqing Ling a lesson that day and shocked everyone. Or perhaps Yiqing Jian and Yiqing Ling were still recuperating and had no time to seek revenge. The most important reason could be because of Ling Fenghua's pressure in the dark. What Yiqing Luo did every day was to lie on the bed and use her divine sense to enter the azure dew bracelet and refine pills under Old Man Song's guidance. She wanted to use the fastest speed to refine the top-grade marrow cleansing pill. The time in the azure dew bracelet was not the same as the outside world, so there was a slight deviation. 1 day in the outside world was 10 days in the azure dew bracelet. It also greatly shortened the time needed for Yiqing Luo to refine pills. No wonder Old Man Song was so sure that she would not need a year and a half to become a master alchemist. Steward Yuqi's expression also darkened. Luo's soul directly crossed over to another world. He did not dare to act rashly. There was no need to talk about her mental power. He had accurately calculated the profound jade heart that DMO Xian only then did he dare to let her release her heart fire to refine pills. After all, because of this, in just 10 days, was there Chapter for all 39. Luo had already rushed to the level of the master. Turned his head. Although it was only a worry favor with all master alchemist, he wouldn't have been promoted to a master alchemist. That country simply an appearance of 100,000 sudden display of power made during this time Yi Fengyu was completely subdued by this young master won't mention the affair before Yiqing Luo's arrangements, and after returning from the academy, at this moment he reported to the abandoned expression her mouth leisurely. He could see that it was absolutely this young matriarch knows their secret. He demonstrated what the master had made him from the beginning was indeed looking down on him. And even dared to lay a vicious provocation on his 2 young masters. It will also affect the promotion of profound. He deserves to be seriously injured and to stand the provocation, and without pressure you will never be able to break uncontrollable rage. Commanding the surrounding guards, as long as you capture this little trash alive, flirting with this young master will heavily reward you. Would be blocked by a barrier. His subordinates immediately rushed towards Yiqing, then congratulations, you have successfully on the other hand, retreating out broke through the profound grave in his mind as the frost of October had covered his entire face. Then you will forever be stalked by Yiqing, unable to advance. Sister were having illicit relations. I have a way to stimulate your potential and transform surroundings. Daughter was actually humiliated. This process is not as easy. Even if Mu Zifei was there, the Yuqi family didn't block the ugly birds found in their eyes. If you nod your head now, this thought flashed was intangible by the not allowed to back out. Even if Mu Zifei wanted to family had also offended without hesitation, he would probably be powerless. Yiqing Luo then used a modern method of train the watchful eyes of everyone. Like an angry lion, the profound phoenix ring emanated from countless surrounded Yiqing Luo. But in the blink of an eye, they had already lost all actual weight of these ornaments was more than 5 kilograms. What kind of sorcery did that in the middle of the courtyard? Can a person really disappearing away? This is a misunderstanding. Protect fourth young master. Steward Yao raised difficult protect fourth young master used to the 50 kilograms because the family absolutely knows what they would have to have. She single-handedly long he said it in a carefree gaze on get the hell out of here. This matter sorted out. Let her skills she had already had to guard for what happened to them. A sharp glare flashed across his eye. Two bullets had already as well instead of behind his suddenly stretched out. This was also that hot-blooded saw casually another night in the next second, we were already help trash without the slightest bit of profound body language would actually have 42 had not appeared. How could I have chapter 48 that nothing was afraid of something which was meant by 7 ladies beyond that there was definitely a problem meant by this matter just and a body was about to ask questions. She rushed to the justice about who was just about to say something and obviously folded by the side and stopped. It was as if he had already forgotten that he helped her to feel that if Luo glanced at him and raised out a corner of the black chill ran down the light, and a chill fear walls up the falling except family there. Twisting also the young white plan very lively defense and more than that token when she saw the pressure in his heart and her eyes. A clear voice so strange and soft and good. Her legs suddenly went soft. There she knelt in front of the wonder was this young master, but no one listened to her and went down to be able to hold his hand already ceiling your highness. There must have practiced they knelt down to say she was surprised now and she couldn't help but still had a sweet especially conspicuous. All specialized in authority tugged at the corner of her relative narrowed the lines of her into an although alchemists lay around he saw you understand what they were first and the corner of her ordinary guard every constant whether she had a division and what if stayed by her side gentle she don't present avoid alchemist facing each other she laughed people around her that she could this alchemist guild was the target that chastity large families who would under their powerful helpers powerful supporting very good behind their backs this was simply a slap the alchemist also totally bent down with just a person one medicine had already approached right now this what he was unexpected about was that congratulations on the chapter is actually the alchemist just the alchemist was a jade-like hand stimulated the alchemist healing just one word it dazzled his power and pointed the shakes stopped the tears from rolling down the way he easily saw this way his as his future family would go however each his resolution shame of anything his brown prince to put it all on this without embarrassment she must make himself feel so angry that he lost getting now after the crown prince's chair was obviously she wanted to stop turned to Yashi was found only filled with the desire to let go of my young master. Fourth young master, the guard's eyes were straight he would not dare to be courteous. Think about it carefully. If you dare to touch a single hair on your leg, spread out your family. She looked sure you died. There were several fierce expressions. Naturally, as he linked stared blankly to relying on the father's eyes, his blood had already seeped out. His brows thick after all this also had to be tried and see each other relied on the father smells a delicate fragrance on her body. Lips curled up slightly, let's like monkeys running around in the ground has always stretched out his hand. There were at least let master take revenge felt to use the rest of her life. The god gave an idea. What kind of children were all right out so many lanes Yuchi clenched his face shocked that Yuchi sneered and unceremoniously laughed down. This young man will go away. I want to protect Mrs. Young Mistress has already Yuchi's family suffer the consequences. This was a strange face rolling down his moved closer and lowered his head down to the mouth and they had endured it really at that moment actually has suffered humiliation eyes previously swiftly snatched the medicinal they kept her two family astonishment the other party become the one family that was because the crown prince was tied to her grip as her eyes shot out such a big hat would easily arouse that the vigilant members were already evil but he had not expected Yiqing Luo just to see she actually wanted to divorce the crown with no intention of standing on Tian's malicious and ruthless eyes like a cherry Christine elixir medicine shot away he wanted to explain that didn't dare to open his temperament. Seventh young lady has suffered so much he was afraid that if someone at this time they had to do whatever you felt her changes once again stir up great waves. Luo shuddered as goosebumps formed chapter 32 made his move was really like her personality. Immediately God looked and drew out a golden help inside her lips a medicinal herb. I'm about to throw up my herbs and profound phoenix ring were all of the best world received it both sides she wanted to recite the palm-sized Yuchi's family's ability has a waist stood up immediately and stood after washing Christine elixir it's just that this palm-sized slender figure had no way of breaking through the level of his profound. A man dressed in luxurious gold felt that it was better to first borrow the elixir. If you had to come to the alchemist figure was tall only to look from his face was handsome and refined. His face had been thrown his entire body was determined to follow her. Chapter 43 followed the direction of the alchemist shield robbed all the money when he met that pair of smiling azure of his brain that the last expression appeared on his face. There were no more than 500 people. Wasn't this the man? This 20 gold almost made equivalent to 500 silver people of virtue and prestige. It was enough for her to buy the holy shit. Big brother, we didn't expect his heart as he would actually give face. Even if I'm shy, suddenly I won't shy and felt south of city beside them. Christina licked her lips. The man raised his eyebrows and a bright smile shot out of his face. Isn't this young maid? Then there are the charming eyes, father and mother slightly coldly swept across the few big brother really stunned by the shopkeeper's enthusiasm. Moosey Faye's expression. One must know that wherever she smiles, people dare chase her away. I will always be the matter about the brothers and all very good the Yuchi family. You will definitely have a very good alliance. The man shall already crossed the court sister at the entrance after saying that. If I have nowhere to go, perhaps I will really rely on you. The eldest son of the Moon family and following closely Christina despise me for being completely ignored. If you insist on watching my people in my territory, so many times that one points the letter to the alchemist guild and left midway. Under the enthusiastic guide, also said her goodbyes and prepared chapter 40 residents into the medicine shop. The two middle-aged guards spread open their eyes and pushed him again, and there were many people wearing alchemist clothes. Just as they reached the Yuchi family doesn't want to become adults on the trouble with one could tell the rank and he can directly come to the target family to find each family. But after a long time, my big brother is always in the two young proud man can't wait to let go of this thorny hand. I was just about to list out the listing of a few days ago. Now the three of us are stepping on. I won't intervene in the grievance. There were if I have something, thinking of course I person stood in front of him. Although exuding a ruffian oil, rolled his eyes. There wasn't the slightest hint of a smile. You really don't know how to be polite. Get out of the way. I have never been out of chapter 51. Faye hurriedly shouted. The implication was that her medicine. She had already regarded the fierce-looking brother as stepped forward and raised his hand and stopped her. The matter of breaking surrounding commoners coldly so no wonder that they all fled for the young master. I sincerely apologize to you and will try my best to satisfy this girl's character. Then I have no choice. Are these not enough to appease your anger? You take good care of it. The middle-aged guard was absolutely not filled with unheeded in the alchemist guild. What's the I'm not angry. He suddenly lowered his voice and solemnly said, "Either kneel down his expression changed in an emergency, and his eyes, but his smile had yet to spread to his eyes when a few charming eyes negotiated. He only heard making her appear no one more strange expression towards you. I hope there will not be a time as he took a step forward. Why should I waste my feelings after leaving Christina? It was just a casual action, but it showed how much he cared and kept on pestering him, calling out, brother filled his smile. So what are you thinking revealing about? Some warmth. Give Lynch Law's don't bully intolerably rubbed his head. This Yuchi young master has a reputation of still smiling in his character. Make him charming eyes seem to be mocking his best master of the family stipulated that no one could Yuchi said was very neat to give away the alchemy. Law's eyes were whatever bullying is nothing but a burst that fallen for to grab Yuchi before he could finish his words. She was afraid that Yuchi knew whether she was willing or not to let his facial features twist just as she was about to counterattack. She saw it with easily let go clutched his head as he took off the ring in his hand. He felt sure enough that the servant to shouting fiercely. His body stored all the material trembling this looking like I'll count to phone you immediately shoved following that everyone except eyebrows suddenly filled a big charming chill. They were shouting like don't refuse a dazzling when they returned to the Yi family. An evil gently face poured out the magician's red as he raised to an image and she looked around directly and didn't discover Xian's presence. With a chapter 30, he gave the spatial ring and inexplicably face darkened. He also wondered not just when Yuchi came back, especially the rare suddenly was already kneeling and raised cried out expression more careful while clutching his stomach. After driving Yifeng, his eyes were filled with ruthlessness. For the sake of Li's higher boat, take your men and get out of here. Otherwise, his face so tightly that his nails were already divided into 100 medicines. Yuchi family was maintaining himself to discover that Yuchi's position revealed not to be unrest craftiness. Although Claudia actually made use of one in chapter 45, it was still the number one sat cross-legged on the ground with if you really wanted any force would because each the four corners of the hall didn't touch the ground and Yuchi old out as for her being killed away. Yuchi after her secret by bit according to the prescription and cash this young master wants to help today refine and consider the last master strike she had sent towards the young master. It was extremely difficult to break the taste of that, especially the profound jade heart. As expected of the legend of the Nirvana their entire lives and were only one step away from the next level of profound jade heart, it was simply too mentioning that day. What exactly is your relationship with the other only lacked a little bit of opportunity. Ling's eyes were bloodshot, and this opportunity lay in her. You are courting death. As long as the pill was successfully refined, if her brother's profound jade heart would definitely break through. Especially if it wasn't for the overlord's will, she is very loyal. How could Yi-Ching Luo possibly have his clothes? I want to cure her leg. Ling Feng walked over to the unforgettable medicine list and glanced at it quickly. Sure enough, mentioning this muscle recovery pill from the 100 had been so arrogant recently. After taking testable it could quickly repair damaged muscles, and it turned out that he had already hooked up with his next target. Ling's legs broken by Yi-Ching behind him 7 or 8 years old in order to protect her. Last time he let Yi-Ching Luo go was only because Ling Feng looked as if he had been cuckolded. She begged her mother to use what money she earned from embroidery for more than 10 days to her. But now it seemed that the overlord should only even brought Yi-Ching back to the Three Springs set. Yi-Ching Luo sneered as she stole the girl knew how to repay kindness, pulled out a broadsword from the waist she pounced towards and strode into the abandoned courtyard. The common people in the medicine shops lost their courtyards and avoided hesitate. Little Yu. The Yi-Ching Luo had never been stingy towards and shouted for sprinkling onto the back of Ling Feng. At the same time, with your current grade, are enough to successfully refine them. You just need to control the amount stood in front of the entourage. Old man Sang surrounded by 4 chapter 52. His eyebrows curved as he stroked his white beard. It was undeniable that the deafening sound of the door slamming made Yi-Ching Luo very made him her own people, not showing any weakness. But after feeling refreshed, looked like she was indifferent to everything and grabbed the chair beside him. The person outside was the current crown prince. He ordered the attendant in front of him to sit down, slamming the door and leaving. Then, although the nimble sway of his body, this was a great disrespect too far in the future. The old man scratched his back of his head, a complicated full of apprehension. The follower who had been suddenly stretched out from earlier also joined the battle. This is a peerless immortal pill. Taking it required a lot of patience, and the sounds of battle rang out. The most taboo was to be impatient. Pupil leaned against the medicine cabinet had been for at least a month in sizing up the battle situation in front of her, which was equivalent to 3 days in his next world. She had a rough grasp. His mind was affected by the violent banging on the door outside and pushed her slender fingers away. To define the pill. When the last finger was pushed away, and earth-colored azure debris lacked was his comprehension. She tried her best to calm down. At every move, this pill couldn't be any more ordinary. The ones knocking on the door were sealing every one of his one would discover that after knocking and banging for a long time and controlled, he did not hear any movement from inside the house. What about the 5 attendants of the medicinal perhaps it was because he raised his entire body loss the heavenly fortune last time. The profound ranks of these 5 followers were all unable to spit out half a word. The weakest was yellow rushed into the room. His hands and cupped peerless immortal pill. His face full of Yi-Ching family really felt rather sorry for this 4th young master. He saw reduced the amount of in this kind of battle situation. Her entire body was emitting a blaze after the transformation. Compared to ordinary fearless wrapped around Yi-Ching, medicinal effect should be a bit stronger. As soon as they got while the other 4 were feeling scorching heat, a low-grade pill behind him. It was as if it was going to melt every practitioner. Still fighting with the other 4 and didn't pay attention to what happened to profound jade heart advancement. This was the first time Chapter 34. It also didn't mean that every profound practitioner was so shocked that her legs gave way and she fell to the ground. It all depended on individual factors. Narrowed his eyes and carefully sized into the middle of the fighting crowd. If you successfully advance your profound jade heart, I will unconditionally give the remaining 6 to you. Stared at her for a long time before tossed out another temptation. Must have extracted her divine sense quickly moved on behind that space to refine pills. Immediately, just as the followers was about to hit the body, emitting flames of refined pills, suddenly felt a sharp pain. I will go back to the courtyard to practice jade hand. Tightly clasping his wrist. Chapter 46. 10 pills at a time. Was white, the skin like cream. Yi-Ching was able to refine fingers not wanting to disturb Yi-Ching, so thin that already unprecedented. He pulled Zi-Ling back to the door. But it was this paragraph felt that there was meat to be the greatest taboo for an alchemist is to be just a little bit of force, and when refining you respectfully held the immortal pill, the danger is even how to touch my brother. Failure in refining pills. By the time Yi-Feng used aura had completely disappeared that would hurt the alchemist's body. The smile on more serious might cause damage to the alchemist's divine clutching his wrist, a trace of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Yi-Feng then realized that someone had supported herself with one hand on the wooden table, a little embarrassed to look at Yi-Ching. Can't stop them. Sister, his body swayed just as she was speaking, and his legs side backward when he fell onto the chair. They were already dragging his body to the side to avoid. The door of the abandoned courtyard was banging loudly. Old man songs there were also a few dignified voices shouting and cursing. Not long ago, when you saw Luo and don't hide inside like a turtle on the battlefield. Since you dared to hurt our fourth young master, you should have the guts to bear our finding the medicine before leaving the azure bracelet. Get out here. But the other party will let you know the understandings of going against the Yuqing Luo's state of mind was not shouting and cursing control in the fiery slightly yesterday by a little. He suddenly seemed to understand something. There were only 7 pills for evil I understand. Quickly opened the door, otherwise she had also suffered from the punishment of her consciousness for finding Tian Kuang's voice. Her consciousness was damaged and she was injured. Nor were they worthy of his soft-hearted when facing Steward Yuqi and his highness soft-hearted, he understood forced herself to pretend that nothing was wrong. His father had betrayed his sister and wanted to hand her over to his family, so he had to remove all the obstacles that hindered his after resting for a while. His fingers clenched tightly. Who rushed into the battle again. He really couldn't understand why his father always targeted his sister. Every single move, even if his sister was a waste, unable to cultivate J.H's vision, looked around after all, had remembered that Yuqi's body was definitely not an ordinary. It was said that now vicious tiger wouldn't eat its cubs. Just as she was feeling feel the care about his sister suddenly turned cold. However, good job. The meridians were complicated, and she was unable to feel his heart. He felt even more guilty to compete with me. Old man Sung's voice born from the same mother suddenly took twin sister. She confirmed as if he had made up his mind about family's young master. With a backhand, he said, "Little girl, but his sister was living a life worse than that of a servant." That punch landed on thin air. Anger welled up in his heart. In any show, cleansing Yuqi still had some ability. Will not be a problem. When outside the door, Luo stood turned around and her consciousness entered the azure. The man at the forefront wore a navy blue divine sense with a golden silk belt hanging from his waist. And at a glance, to feel traces that it wasn't ordinary, and a few traces of blood flowed out. His face was full of majesty, and she didn't have to move her that if she was punched by the 2 people behind him, she would not be able to smell you had seen that day. After dodging, if you had some ritualistic profound and formed a seal with both hands, hid it for so long, behind energy from the center of space. It's not that I'm trying to hide it. In his side was the steward of the medicine shop, wanted to say something but hesitated. A sharp long sword materialized in Yuqi's hand. Don't just, but whatever mingled with fragmented saw that it was Yifeng. A old man sprang from the sword's edge. And his illusory body was very good at grasping sword. A huge cauldron suddenly appeared in front of Yuqi's eyes and directly chopped down. The furnace was made of bronze. This sword and the patterns on the body of the furnace were created by Yi Ling. How could it not possible to tell what the patterns were? As he spoke, however, the momentum took a grab Yifeng's and she vaguely felt that there was a pair of eyes glaring at her lips curled up slightly as she golden light fluttered away, making it hard for people to look away. He took out the fold that cauldron was even taller, but he did not dare to counterattack, and could only avoid the wide azure bracelet seemed a bit narrower. You also know that this is such a place. Luo was about to dodge. She felt that his anger and wave actually bypassed her, and so she couldn't recognize I am the 8th young master of the Yi clan. However, it just so happened that staying in this abandoned courtyard is an insult to my identity. At the very least, who is it? Then have you ever thought that the person living didn't land and he roared and uncontrollable? They heard old man Song proudly say, "This is a legendary direction of the profound the dragon god cauldron." She saw a man dressed in white ancient waving a folding fan as he entered, and the cauldron that all neither too fast nor too slow. How could he have expected that Dragon God who had always been obedient, elegant, legendary this kind of attitude to question him? Luo was dumbfounded. That was an extremely confused, always detest and loathe. If this smile was on someone else, subconsciously perhaps it would touch the dragon god furnace. But on him, it felt so smooth. Chapter 47. Yiqing's sister narrowed her charming eyes as she pondered whether the others had already turned around in astonishment. Yuqi already saw golden light driving elegantly and slowly walking over. I haven't seen you for that day. What happened there? She felt in this young skirt fluttered like a blooming rose. Then, second young master on that unparalleled face hung a light fortunately for this old man Song supported her from behind. She actually had a bit of an impression. Song immediately raised her hand and saw that there was a flag read the second young master of the main family. Fresh blood was gushing. Luo walked over and gestured towards the door. Yiqing family sucked in a breath of strange custom. Ling will go prepare generations. Expression they would only marry one person as a wife. What's going on? Anger. Angrily
Because of
pointing
this,
at Yi Qing
the Mu
Luo,
family
unable
also
to
only
restrain
had
his
two
anger,
sons.
it actually
He roared,
sucked your blood.
"Evil
After
girl.
all, second
Yi
young
Qing
master
Luo
was
came
son
from
of
a profound
practitioner, aristocratic
Yi Qing
family.
Luo
The dragon
rolled her
god
eyes.
a rare
Father,
father.
legendary
I can't do
furnace.
anything about it.
Mu
Like the
Zifei
azure
you
folded
bracelet,
folding
it
fan
has a
and
guardian
Yi
spirit.
Tianquang's wantonly
Fourth young
anger,
master,
the guardian of
hatred
the
in his
divine,
heart,
causing
causing
trouble
trouble
in
in
the
the
pristine outside the
cauldron.
So this is the discipline of the
three
springs
other
sect.
people's
Old
business.
man
Actually
Sun
allowing the
bandaged
younger
Yi Qing
generation
If I don't
to
stop
defend
them,
as
something
experienced.
really happens.
The
It really
golden dragon
drives
disabled
home
man's
the won't be
horizons.
good. Even
The
this young
middle-aged
master,
man
when I was
standing
still
at the
alive,
forefront
I wasn't able to tame the divine
Give her
dragon
to
called
me,
ridicule.
and this young master will
He paused
immediately
for a
moment.
moment,
He
a
immediately
puzzled
felt
look in
his
his
face
eyes.
lose
Yuchi, you
light.
put away
He
his
gritted
long
his
never
teeth.
heard of a
Shame
shame
and
and the
indignation.
initiation.
Once you enter our pristine elixir medicine
I didn't
hall,
teach properly.
you're our customer.
Today I will hand over this
I hand over
when she
pristine
touched the
elixir
dragon
medicine
god
hall's
furnace
customer to
earlier.
you
Steward
today.
Yuchi
Held a
that
common
waved
like
his
you
hand
pristine
and
elixir
two
medicine
mystic
hall.
profound grade
That
9
sharp
protectors
nose
were about to
Fei
enter the
lines
broken
from the
courtyard
way
to
to
capture her.
Yuchi
Let me
face
see who
suddenly
dares
sunk.
to enter.
So you're saying that you want to
Yi Feng
oppose
Yu
this
was
young
anxious.
master for that
He took out a
trash.
long knife
Chapter
from his
50.
spatial
I don't
ring
dare
and held
oppose
it
you.
tightly
Girl,
in his hand.
you're really
What I'm
lucky.
doing is only
He
to
stood in
protect
front
the
of this
city
old
of the
man,
medicine hall
his
because of your
eyes
luck.
staring fiercely at the person
If
in front of
young
him.
master
Today's
Yuchi's
matter is on
clearly
causing
the
trouble
dragon
in my
god
pristine
fault.
elixir medicine
All right,
hall. My sister,
then I can only
only
offend you.
No way.
Yi Qing
Finished
Luo was
speaking.
dumbfounded.
Mu Zifei no longer paid
Come over
attention.
here,
Allowed to go over just a moment ago.
Tianquang
Walking
so
straight
why was he
towards
allowed to
Yi
go
Qing
over
increasingly
now?
dark. That handsome
He
face
cast
revealed
aside
a long
the
fierce
dragon
smile.
cauldron would
Seventh
resist him
miss.
again.
I'm really sorry to have
understood.
startled you.
Her
Upon
body
wind
directly
came out.
collided
Yi
with
Qing
the
Luo
divine
stared
dragon
indifferently.
furnace.
This
In his
ice
heart,
cold
he had
sensation
some
instantly
suddenly
eroded her
cold
entire
entire
body.
body.
A sharp pain in
Yi
his
Qing
wrist.
Luo
The
shivered
sound
as
of
the
just
whole
about
breaking
the
the
young
young
master.
master.
Strange
Mu
voice
Zifei.
resounding in her
The
ear.
scene was silent for a few
In order
moments.
to make up for my apology, whatever medicinal ingredients you want to buy today, the guardian of the divine dragon white hand slowly slid down from the Zifei called the shopkeeper over and took out a red pendant fluttered in the wind. Little girl, the dragon god has absorbed your blood, so it has established a blood contract. His entire face twisted in pain. Will follow you for the rest of your life. Everyone please only fell onto Yi Qing Luo in unison. Seventh old man please saw Yi Qing Luo with horrified expression and explained she was at least 4 to 5 steps away from Yi Qing shopkeeper to the back room. His heart was also overwhelmed with shock. Yi Qing Luo wanted to leave, and when he was still alive, he obtained the divine dragon cauldron. He immediately raised his sword his death and unleashed his stellar energy. No one protector of the azure. However, what kind of movement still had no way of profound energy? How could it be so strange? Who was still 10 steps away? The dragon god appeared and take the initiative to sign a blood pact with Steward Yuchi's face was gloomy. It seemed that this little girl's identity was extraordinary. Screamed at this moment, fell to the ground. Luo was spitting out a mouthful with the cauldron dragon. After seeing it with his own eyes, he learned from the cauldron dragon just about to step into the furnace was an alchemy furnace contracted by an ancient divine sovereign. She looked at Mu Zifei silently after the divine emperor passed away. The divine dragon furnace fell into the Nirvana realm. You actually dared to make chapter against the son of the first wife. Are you tired of living? Then she appeared. Yi Feng Yu's expression congealed as he looked at the center of the medicine shop with light worry. She raised her eyes, and this was the first time she slapped the ground in a manner that was neither servile nor overbearing. She had also heard old father mention that he had lingered alive until he became a guardian. Your daughter never been able to tame the dragon god three-string sect. Naturally, has the right why the blood dragon would choose to form a blood contract. The sword and sword collided in profound dragon's voice was loud and clear. Oh, that sword light was resplendent as the matriarch was awe-inspiring. Because of your no wonder three spring carried an extremely strong and majestic wave as it exploded in the live raised her eyebrows. The showers every day swept over, and there wasn't any special smell. Yi Feng Yu's heart, the corners of her mouth hooked into a blood. Feel that you are clearly on par with their profound grades. Yi Qing Luo's hand covered the pattern of the dragon god cauldron. Yi Qing Luo's god cauldron suddenly trembled and randomly transformed into a palm size stared ahead in it, falling into Yi Qing Luo's palm. Yi Qing Luo in his heart, the cauldron dragon's voice came again. Her lips curled into a this kind of imposing manner. Steward Yuchi's face immediately turned up a smile and stuffed the medicine even the two guards behind him looked as if they had eaten a frog. In other words, when you confronted those three attendants at the end, Yi Qing Luo was obviously slapping their dragon. You can understand the disparity between you and them. Yi Feng Yu was stunned when his name was called. Flashed as he vaguely grasped. He also had old mystic profound grade grandmaster pushed this steward towards the back of his profound grade at all. Don't worry, sister. Teacher suddenly felt that she was going to soar and picked up the medicine as she was being pushed and glanced at it. I want to refine the marrow cleansing fiercely. Want me to do it myself? Avoiding the shopkeeper who filled her eyes
eyes and smiled his voice.
Ever since she started concocting
this smile made you
she had
foam,
always
tremble
wanted to
as he
concoct
swallowed
his
his
saliva.
Aren't you looting a burning house?
Just as he was about to open his mouth,
medicine list wanted to stabilize his brothers of Medea's and immediately smiled. Wanted to cure zeal.
I'll do it.
Together.
I'll do it.
Now that she had the divine
how
dragon
can I trouble
cauldron?
my sister
Everything
for such
she wanted
gold
all
coins?
true. 10.
He straightened his back
dragon was silent
his
for a
long
moment,
knife,
as if it was
put on an
investigative
aggressive
look
look
situation
as
disapprovingly raised her
Sorry
eyebrows.
for offending you.
Soon after,
She was
his
very
dignified
calm.
voice rang
His
out
mouth
leisurely,
exploded
already
more.
lacking in
I
gold and the
only
long
need
knife
2
in his
days.
hand chopped out.
Since second
2
young
days,
master
a
moved
wisp of
proposed
chi
that all the
lingered on the
no
longer
longer
of the
accept
cauldron
today
that
the
the
divine
divine sovereign
sovereign
had once
I'll take
used.
1 copper
You dare to
coin's
court
worth of
his
that.
words were
His
so
words were so
unyielding.
Steward
Yuchi's
Yuchi's
expression
expression
turned
turned
cold.
What's wrong
was
with that?
extremely
A
excited.
burst of energy
exploded
from his
dragon. Let's start refining
His
the
luxurious
pill now.
he followed the shopkeeper into
Before
the
that,
back room.
you
The
must
red
guarantee
face
that
the
no
palm
one will
wind
directly
directly
chop
chopped
refine the pill.
When
Yi-Ching Luo returned to the wagon and said
Yu's long knife
she discovered that
direction
Yuchi had
and
already
actually
fought his
chopped
way
towards
outside the
Yi-Chang
medicine
Wei.
shop under Mu Zifei's
Xiao Yu,
lead.
be careful.
Chapter 55. Luo pretended to panic and cried out.
She was somewhat interested in this second
underheard
young
the dragon
somersaulted
request.
to the
She
side.
first took avoiding
to
the slight damage to her consciousness, and they would never resort to
then
words.
she left the ashes
half
to
kneeling on the
cold
ground,
ceiling,
spitting out a mouthful of blood.
She told her to stand guard
at
at
the
the
door,
door,
and that no one was allowed to come in and disturb
rushed
her.
forward.
What's your
One
relationship
hand
with
she was about to
return to her
eyes
room,
full of
unexpectedly,
something
for
and
her,
added,
when she saw the smear of blood on that young guard the door with you.
mouth.
Yuchi was in an
extremely
sorry.
Yuchi
Luo lay on the bed,
in
and
terms
her
of your
profound
Yuchi
family,
family,
he was a bullying intolerably. But not
For an
only did you
alchemist,
block this
apart
young
from
matriarch
matriarch
of
and
refining
arts,
skills,
you actually
dared to come to
clearly
her
had
the best refining tools.
This young matriarch
the hand
top
upgrade
called
how
already
powerful
for
Yuchi's
family
jade heart
relentless
condensed
advance,
flame,
and the
Steward
collision of the
Yuchi was already regretting his decision.
It was somewhat struck out.
This was an
essential
essential piece of equipment.
He had
not
not
successfully
and I'm not doing this for her.
to join hands and
Yi-Ching
put on
Luo
such a good
filled all of
show.
these
Mouth was still that
intentionally
smile
making
that made
him
him
feel
unable to
unable
body
to
was
somewhat
humiliating
powerless
him.
to
Anyone
control
with
the legendary
trouble
trouble
Christine Elixir Medicine Hall
In
was
reality,
an enemy of my
refining
family.
family
You wanted to
considered
attack
easy.
from the
Since
start
fourth young
was
master
Yi Chang
followed
Wei.
the 100 medicines
as the head steward of the
Yuchi
and medicinal
family.
ingredients.
If he were to make a
cauldron
move
according
against
to
the
so
Yizo
it turns out
dragon
that fourth young master Yuchi's
she
he would
controlled the
definitely
heat.
be punished.
But
Second,
after a
no
long
matter
time,
how he
hasn't
explained
even
his
found
full
jade
strength,
heart
he
clearly
was already
couldn't
unable
support
to
it.
meet the challenge.
This lowly girl
Usually,
was actually
sweet
sweet
and
and
mild
refined
voice
pills
leisurely
wasn't
came
more than
Yi-Ching
8
Luo
hours.
directly ignored
The tone
Steward's
was
full
full
of
of
ridicule.
ridicule.
It took 24 hours
Inside
to
the
complete the
medicine
refinement.
shop,
A woman dressed
the
in red
originally
like fire
extremely
walked
pure
out.
core flame
gradually
dark
became
blood red
slightly
patterns
turbid.
outlined the outline
Her
of an
breathing
enchanting
also
flower
became
at the
more
hem
and
of her
more
skirt.
chaotic.
Her fine
Girl,
black hair scattered over
you
her
hold
shoulders.
Her
Old man
slender
Sung
and thin
realized the
eyebrows
situation
curved.
wasn't right and suddenly
Her
slapped his
bewitching
head.
and seductive
I forgot
eyes
to remind
revealed
a
a somewhat
somewhat
cold
dragon,
flowing
your
light.
profound jade heart isn't your own. DMO Xian's
Chapter
profound jade
37.
heart could be freely operated
Yi-Ching
by
Luo.
Yi-Ching Luo. Once he
But
saw
after a long
Yi-Ching Luo
time,
walking
it
over,
could easily cause the
Yuchi's
profound
eyes
jade
turned
heart to
scarlet
become
red,
tired
filled
and
with
resist
hatred.
Yi-Ching Luo.
His fingers,
Seeing
which were
the
gripping
cold
the
sweat
long
on
sword
Yi-Ching
tightly,
Luo's forehead
tightened
dripping
one by
down
one.
drop by drop. It was
Seventh
obvious
young
she
lady,
couldn't hold
just
on
leave
any
him to
longer.
me. Old
Mu
man
Zifei's
Fang's spirit
smiled as
body
he looked
flashed and
towards
quickly
Yi-Ching
landed
Luo.
behind Yi-Ching Luo.
After all,
Fourth
both
young
palms
master
came
Yuchi
together
messed
and a
up
white
the
light
medicine
burst
hall
forth
because
from
of
old
me.
man Song's palms.
If I were to stand by the
Immediately,
side and watch,
a warm
it
current
wouldn't be
assaulted Yi-Ching
justifiable.
Luo's profound jade heart.
Yi-Ching Luo's lips curled up
lingered around the
slightly as she
profound
smiled
jade heart
lightly.
surroundings and rotated
His
several
demeanor
times.
was calm,
without the
It
slightest
easily
bit of timidity
suppressed the
or
pain
fear.
Yi-Ching Luo had been
That
forcibly
pair of
holding
enchanting
on to.
eyes that could bewitch all
That
living
warm
things had a
current
radiance
revolved
that was so
unceasingly
dazzling
within her body.
This
After
isn't an
one
aura that a
revolution,
trash can
her
emit.
profound chi gradually
A
stabilized.
brilliant glint flitted across the depths of
Boom,
Mu
with a
Zifei's
loud
eyes
bang,
as he
the
recalled the
divine
news
dragon
that had been
cauldron
circulating
shook.
throughout Three Springs
The
City
golden
during
light
this period
instantly
of
lit
time.
up the entire void.
It seemed that, as
This
soon as the
seventh
lid
young
of the
lady
cauldron
of
was
the Yi
lifted,
family had
a
really
few golden
changed.
pills automatically popped out.
He had a very strong idea.
Yi-Ching Luo flipped
The
her
three
palm
springs
and those
set
few medicinal
would most
pills
likely
automatically
undergo an
fell into her
earth-shaking
palm.
change.
There were
Suddenly,
three in total.
a slender white hand rested
Elder
on Mu
Tsang.
Zifei's shoulder.
Elder Tsang.
He was startled when he heard the woman's low voice.
I refined it successfully.
That orchid
orchid-like fragrance seeped into his nose. Mu Zifei was dazed for a split second. Yiqing Luo's brows were filled with ecstasy. Helpers are here. She held the 3 golden pills and quickly walked towards Old Man Elixir Medicine Hall doesn't have any hired thugs. He saw Old Man Song lying on the ground. As soon as she walked out of the medicine shop, his white she keenly heard the commoners discussing, and beards seemed to have merged with the family had gathered 20 to 30 people. The smile on Yiqing Luo's face instantly froze. He glanced at the attendant lying on the ground in the hall. You
What's wrong with you?
Sure enough, one had run away.
Yi-Ching Luo's expression congealed as she half knelt on the ground
there were
and stretched
probably
out
many
her hand
experts
to help
from the
old
Yuchi
man
family
up.
among them.
Master,
She did not
don't
have
touch
any
him for
Xian
now.
Qi,
And this
the
body
cauldron
could not
dragon's
display
voice
even
interrupted
1/10
her
of her
actions.
skills in her previous life.
Yi-Ching Luo's arms
Joining
stiffened,
hands with
her
Mu
eyes
Zifei
filled
to
with
deal
worry.
with 20 to
Is it
30
because
people.
old man
I'm
Sang
afraid
just passed me
he was going to
profound
die
qi,
here,
causing
Girl,
Mu
don't worry.
Zifei's complexion changed.
Old man Sang's voice
Pristine
was very
elixir
light.
medicine hall is opened
His
by
white
the Mu
beard
clan.
moved along with his lips.
Even if there are disputes,
I'm fine.
they will still give the Mu clan
I'll
this
be fine
face.
after
Therefore,
recuperating in the azure
pristine
dew
elixir
bracelet
medicine
for a
period
period
of
didn't
time.
derange any thugs at all.
Yi-Ching Luo's pink
Miss
lips
Seven,
pursed
I'll
into a
cover
straight
you.
line. You should leave now. As long as we return to Three Springs sect, they won't dare to do anything to you. Mu
Chapter
Zifei
56.
pulled Yi-Ching Luo behind him.
He is the guardian of the
If I
azure dew
leave,
bracelet.
what will you do?
As long as his
In any
spiritual
case,
body is
I'm
still
the Mu
within the
family's
bracelet,
second young
nothing will
master.
happen to him.
If
said
the
cauldron
Yuchi family
dragon.
dares to touch me,
Yi-Ching
it's the
Luo
same as
bit her
declaring
lips,
war on the
and
Mu family.
old man Sang will be fine.
Mu Zifei gripped his
The
long
cauldron
saber
dragon
tightly,
was the guardian
his
of the
gaze
divine
becoming
artifact.
shocked. Leave
It wouldn't
now.
deceive her.
A burst of
In any
profound
case,
energy burst
she was
out
the
from
master
his
of the
body.
cauldron dragon.
This powerful wave
Little
of
girl,
qi was
since
even
the
more
marrow
powerful
cleansing
than
pill
when
has been
Yuchi had
successfully
tangled with him.
refined.
There's no time
His
to
long
lose.
blade flicked upwards,
Eat
and
the marrow
profound energy
cleansing pill
surged
and
madly in the
unseal your
surroundings.
meridians.
A
Old
4-foot
man
long
Sang's
blade
voice grew
radius was
softer
already
and softer.
directly pressed down towards
I have to go into seclusion for a period of time. This saber turned into
The
an
cauldron
astonishing
dragon
beam
will
of
guide
light
you.
that pierced through the sky.
Yi-Ching Luo nodded her head
Yi-Ching
repeatedly.
Luo retreated
I
a
will,
few steps
when you
under
come
that
out of
strong
closed-door
airwave.
cultivation, I will
Half
not let you
squinting
down.
her charming eyes,
She
the corner
deeply
of old
stared
man
at the man
Sang's
who
lips
used his
twitched
full strength
weakly.
to attack Yuchiya.
Soon after,
A
white
smile
mist quietly
quietly
leapt
leapt
onto the corner
enveloped
of her
old
mouth.
man Sang's body.
He was serious.
After the fog dispersed,
he really
was
wanted
old
to
man
use himself
Sang's
in
figure.
exchange for her safety.
Don't think too much.
When had she ever been protected like
begin.
this? Cauldron Dragon didn't give
Yi-Ching
Yi-Ching
Luo
Luo time
was
to think
determined to
about other
befriend
things.
this friend.
Yi-Ching
Out of the
Luo
corner of his
concealed the
eye,
uneasiness
he caught
in
a
her
glimpse
heart.
of a group of people rapidly
Indeed,
approaching
it
from
was
the other end
useless
of the
no matter
street.
how much she thought about
His
it.
gaze gradually turned
The
cold.
only thing she could do now was
Here
to
it
unlock
comes.
the seal on her meridians
The
and
Yuchi
cultivate her
family's
profound qi
reinforcements.
to make herself stronger.
Yi-Ching Luo
According
estimated
to
with
Cauldron
her eyes
Dragon's
that there were
method,
approximately
Yi-Ching
23
Luo
to
sat
24
cross-legged
people.
on a stone block.
The two leaders were
Immediately
approximately
30
his
years
little
old,
but felt
overbearing
and aggressive.
Thousand-year frost ice.
Apart from the two leaders' profound
Yi-Ching
levels
Luo
at mystic
stretched out her
profound
hand in
grade,
astonishment
there
and
were still
stroked the
4
stone block.
7th grade profound practitioners.
Immediately, a cold
The
aura
rest
that
were
was
all
comparable
the yellow
to a
profound
heart-piercing
realm.
chill spread from her palm
This
to her
lineup
arm.
couldn't be considered especially
The thousand-year
powerful,
frost was
but
a
to
good
the current
item.
her, if she were
It
to
was a
meet force
treasure
with
that
force,
countless profound
she had no
practitioners
chance of
desired.
victory. It was said that as long as a profound practitioner cultivated
Chapter
on the
38.
thousand-year frost, they would be
Seeing
able
that
to
help had
achieve twice
arrived,
the results with half
Yuchiya's
the
panicked
effort.
expression immediately
This was
became
because
arrogant.
the Millennium Frost was
His
refined
morale
from the
for battle
spiritual
also
chi of
became
heaven and
full
earth.
of confidence.
Now that it was
The other
placed
side
within the
had
azure
2
dew
people while he
bracelet,
had 20
the
people
spiritual
behind him,
energy on the
as well
stone
as the
block
Yuchi
was even
family's
denser and
elite
purer.
guards.
He
Why
hadn't
would he be
expected
afraid
that
of
old
old
man
man
Sang
Sang
would
would
hold
hold
quite a few
Mu?
good things and hide them in the
Yi-Ching
azure dew
Luo,
bracelet.
Mu Zifei.
Today
Yi-Ching
this
Luo
young
sat
master will
upright
let you
and
see the
swallowed a marrow
consequences of
cleansing
messing
pill.
around with the Tai Sui's
The marrow
head.
cleansing pill melted in his
Yuchiya's
mouth,
long sword
and his
cut
mouth
through the
was
air like a
instantly
streak
filled
of
with
azure
refreshing
light,
medicinal
carrying
fragrance.
the chill of a sword. The medicinal
In a
fragrance
split
flowed
second,
down his
the
throat
entire
and into his
sky
body,
was covered in
flowing
lightning and
into his
thunder,
meridians.
sealing off Yi-Ching
The
Luo
process
and
was
Mu
extremely
Zifei
from
painful.
all directions.
Yi-Ching
Yi-Ching
Luo couldn't
Luo
hold it
and
in
Mu
for a few
Zifei
times
looked
as
at
she
each
let
other.
out a painful moan.
When they saw the
In his
smile that
tendons
flashed
and
in the
veins,
other's eyes,
waves of
they
medicinal
coincidentally
fragrance
kept
hooked the
colliding
corners of
and
their
pressing
lips.
against each other.
A murderous aura
His
floated
entire
in
body
Yi-Ching
felt as
Luo's
if it had been
eyes,
torn apart
and the
then
folding fan in
reassembled.
her sleeve flipped at her fingertips.
A sharp, painful moan
The
came
tip
out
of her
from
toes
Yi-Ching
touched the
Luo's
ground,
mouth,
and her figure
there
immediately
was a metallic
transformed
taste
into
in
an
his throat.
afterimage. Mu Zifei's long sword condensed profound chi
As soon
and
as he heard
slashed
the
down
sound of
horizontally.
cooking,
He spat out a
with
mouthful
each
of blood.
slash, the earth seemed
The
to
blood
shake,
was black,
red like
so
thunder.
black that it was purple.
He opened a path
Then,
for Yi-Ching
a cold
Luo.
current spread from his
When
buttocks to his
Yuchiya's
limbs
20
and
guards
bones.
saw this, they rushed
The painful
forward in
squeezing
unison.
sensation was no longer
Profound
there.
chi
soared to the sky.
At this moment,
and the surrounding common people
only felt
carefree and incomparably refreshed. Items smashed onto the ground and shattered into pieces. Chi erupted from Yiqing Luo's body. When Mu Zifei that and profound energy fought, emitted a dazzling harm the common people, making the red-clothed woman on the stone block people move even together, more enchanting and enchanting than the sun and moon. The entire street was filled with screams and clamor. The purification was a success. The folding fan in Yiqing Luo's hand was like a sharp blade, spinning at high speed at her profound
energy spread through his limbs
her
and bones. Her
acuity was extremely high.
Her speed was
taking
extremely
advantage
fast,
of this momentum,
and she also
you can begin challenging the first level of the Audiobo bracelet's mental cultivation method.
Several profound practitioners didn't even have time to make a move when they felt a chill on their necks,
of the mental cultivation
and they already
method.
fell to the ground.
Not waiting for Yi Qing Luo to regain her senses, that huge cauldron
ninth
shook
mystic
violently.
profound great middle-aged man
her
shouted
footsteps were
sternly.
unsteady and her body bumped
His
into
palm
something.
moved and split open the
In
blade
the next
chi
second,
created by
that
Mu
thing
Zi
that she
Fei.
had bumped into was like a suction
Immediately,
cup,
he
firmly
pulled out a
sucking
sharp
her in.
broadsword from his waist
Yi
and chopped
Qing
the
Luo's
Yi Qing
eyes
Luo.
immediately went black.
Yi Qing Luo's brows
In a short
raised,
moment,
and she
Yi
retreated a
Qing
few
Luo
steps
opened
with
her eyes
toes.
again and discovered that she was
She
actually
dodged to the
standing on a
side
battle
and avoided
stage.
the blade wave.
With a boom, the middle-aged man's broadsword chopped out countless blade shadows where she was just standing. The ninth
Chapter
grade of the
57.
mystic profound realm could already
This is
be
the
ranked
first
amongst
level's
the
competition
powerhouses
arena.
of the West Wave continent.
Cauldron Dragon's faint voice
Naturally,
seemed to come
his
from the
reaction
horizon.
was extremely
Master,
fast.
raise your head.
After slashing
Yi
the
Qing
air
Luo
again,
followed the
he
voice
immediately
and raised
leapt
her
up.
eyes.
The huge sword was incomparably
Above her head
vicious,
was a vast
aiming
expanse
straight
of
for
white
Yi
mist
Qing
that
Luo's
she couldn't
vital
see the
point.
bottom.
Your
On the
opponent is
extreme
me.
right side of the arena,
Suddenly,
a fiery
Mu
red
Zi
candle
Fei,
lamp
who
floated
was surrounded
in midair.
and attacked by more than
When
10
this
guards,
lamp goes out,
sent his
no matter
saber
what
chi
happens on
flying.
the arena,
I will summon you back.
Cauldron Dragon continued, if you successfully pass the first level before the lamp goes out, you can obtain the first level's secret arts. In other words, before this lamp goes out, Cauldron Dragon absolutely wouldn't interfere with her. The Azure Dew bracelet has 12 levels of purgatory. The first level is the simplest. With your current ability, you should be able to deal with it. Do you see that huge one on the arena stage? Pour profound chi into the one, and the Azure Dew bracelet will randomly create a void space according to your strength. Yi Qing Luo followed Cauldron Dragon's words and half knelt on the ground, pouring profound chi into the one under her feet. When her profound chi was released, the profound chi that had just been gathered after purification actually crazily rushed towards her profound jade heart. As if it had found an outlet, it drilled into her profound jade heart as if it didn't cost anything. Yi Qing Luo clutched her heart, one hand on the ground, and let out a muffled groan. This crazy oppressive feeling squeezed her profound jade heart until it swelled painfully. At the same time, the entire arena shook violently. In a split second, a group of fiendish wild beasts appeared in front of Yi Qing Luo. There were at least 100 of them in a group. The 100 beasts cried in unison, deafening the ears. The entire arena seemed as if it was about to collapse. These wild beasts were refined according to your current strength. You only need to defeat these beasts in front of you and you can smoothly pass the first level of purgatory. After Cauldron Dragon finished speaking, there was no longer any sound. It seemed as if it simply didn't see Yi Qing Luo's expression of endless pain. It simply couldn't be more painful. Her chest swelled to the point it was about to explode. And the 100 wild beasts in front of her, after their protective barrier was broken, surged towards Yi Qing Luo. Among those wild beasts, the smallest was 2 meters tall. They opened their bloody mouths, revealing their sharp teeth. He opened his mouth and tried to swallow Yi Qing Luo into his stomach. Yi Qing Luo's 5 fingers clasped tightly around her heart as she leapt up, using the height of a wild beast, she somersaulted in the air. Soon after, he landed steadily in the empty space of the arena. A few ferocious wild beasts missed their target and crashed into each other. Phew! Yi Qing Luo panted heavily as her slender brows creased tightly. All of a sudden, the profound heart jade seemed to have been set ablaze by a ball of flame. Yi Qing Luo could clearly feel the scorching heat in her chest. Following this, her body began to emit a layer of dazzling light. The light spread like fire. Yi Qing Luo felt that this ray of light had turned into strands of qi, seeping into her body from her skin. Bit by bit, it lingered on the profound heart jade. The swollen and painful feeling gradually disappeared. Surrounding the profound heart jade surroundings was a stretch of pure profound energy. When he clenched his fist, he could feel boundless power accumulating in him.
The roars of wild beasts rang in his ears, and the wild beasts in front of him pounced ferociously. Yiqing Luo's charming eyes gleamed with a bloodthirsty and enchanting red glow. The first floor. Chapter 58. The fiery red candlelight floating in the air flickered. On the arena, a pile of wild beast corpses piled up into a small hill. One by one, at an extremely fast speed, piled up high. In the middle of the arena, in the midst of the blood mist, a red figure was faintly discernible. Under her feet, there was an extremely strong qi wave, the strong wind fluttering her dress, like a blooming rose. A head of simple hair, long disheveled, hung down to her shoulders. That devastatingly beautiful face was covered with a layer of frost. There was no emotion on her face. Between her charming eyes, there was an excited cold glint. What swept her pink lips was a bloodthirsty and treacherous smile. She was killing incomparably carefree. The wind from her palm landed again, the wild beast flesh and blood splattered. Fresh blood splashed on her face. Her smile was more and more devastatingly beautiful. That smile made people appalled. Yiqing Luo could clearly feel that the profound heart jade in her heart was transmitting her endless profound qi, making her fight tirelessly, unceasingly. Every time a wild beast fell, the blood in her body boiled for a while. In the arena, there were finally 3 wild beasts that weren't too big in size, but their power was extremely strong. These 3 wild beasts had some human nature, actually knew how to help each other. And the candlelight above her head, the candle flame was already getting weaker. At this time, Yiqing Luo couldn't be impatient. She understood this logic. Trapped by the 3 wild beasts, Yiqing Luo used her footwork to move back and forth. The profound qi in the profound heart jade was also constantly hoarding, absorbing. The wild beast's vision followed, but in a moment they were dizzy. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Yiqing Luo targeted one, hit it. The triangular standing wild beast, one died. The triangular defense disintegrated. Dealing with it was even easier and more comfortable. By the time Yiqing Luo finished off the last wild beast, the candle which was floating in mid-air had also extinguished. Almost at the same time. Ha ha ha, lass, I knew, as long as it's you, you can definitely do it. Old man Sang's voice came from her mind. His voice was unable to conceal the joy in it. Yiqing Luo's bloodthirsty cold eyes suddenly became clear. Old man Sang. Are you alright? This old man hasn't even seen you ascend to the peak of powerhouses. How can you die? Old man Sang's voice regained its usual vigor. After inquiring, Yiqing Luo found out that she had spent 3 days and 2 nights in the first story. Old man Sang had been cultivating in seclusion for the past few days. Although he couldn't appear in his previous spiritual form, he could at least communicate with her. When old man Sang returned to her side, Yiqing Luo immediately felt a sense of familiarity. The smile on her face added some of the warmth that a young girl should have. Girl, you're really lucky. Old man Sang quipped, even the timing is so precise. At the same time when the lights go out, the last beast will be eliminated. Yiqing Luo's lips curled upwards as she gave a light smile. Girl, congratulations on successfully passing the first level of the purgatory. Old man Sang's laughter was filled with gratification. I'll leave the first level of the deep water art to you. On the stage, the huge, one character shone brightly. A scroll floated in the air. Yiqing Luo stretched out her hand and the scroll automatically fell into her palm. The light dissipated. When the scroll entered her hand, there was a cool touch. Yiqing Luo lowered her eyes to look at the top of the scroll. The ink writing was like dancing dragons and dancing phoenixes, teleportation. Teleportation. Damn. It was actually teleportation. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.